dozens and dozens of self-help books. Some popular, some amazing, and some were just boring. But today I'm going to be giving you the top books that I recommend that changed my mindset and life, that are actually worth the read. First up, we have Atomic Habits by James Clear. This book asks the question, how can we end bad habits for good and make the good habits that we desire easier and more automatic? Tiny habits have the capacity to make changes on the micro level in ways that we may not even notice until days, weeks, or even months in the future. James presents the idea of getting just 1% better every single day, which sounds small, but can actually lead to impressive improvements. 1% better combines to being 37% better annually. Now imagine that compiled year over year. It's not about changing everything all at once, but about deciding on a course of action and then taking small steps. Habits can compile to work for you or against you. Indulging in the habits of stress or laziness will only take you further away from your goals, whereas compiling good habits like peace and discipline will make the hard tasks seem easier. Success is the product of daily habits, not once-in-a-lifetime transformations. What's so beneficial is that James talks about these 4 different laws and how you can compile them for substantial change in your life. These 4 laws are the framework for influencing habit loops that literally control our lives. But with the help of this book, you can get back in the driver's seat and take control of your life rather than feeling like you're just gliding through it. And that's what I love so much about this book, is the practical aspect of it. If you want a book with clear guidelines on exactly how to get started to change your life and mindset, get this book. Next on my list, we have The Alchemist. This book single-handedly got me out of a reading slump. I'm not even kidding. I hadn't read a book in 2 years. I picked this up and finished it in less than 2 days. This is Paulo Coelho's most famous book worldwide. It has been translated into 67 different languages. It's a story about this young shepherd named Santiago, who becomes discontent with just taking care of his sheep. He begins to have this reoccurring dream telling him to seek the treasure on the edge of the Egyptian pyramids. Now, if you're not familiar with the concept of alchemy, it's the process of turning things into gold. And this book is about how you have the innate power to turn your life into gold by maximizing your talent and skills in order to achieve your destiny. Like, have you ever experienced synchronicities in life, like always seeing the same numbers somewhere, or thinking about an old friend and then they just happen to call or message you? The Alchemist is a story about how the world is always speaking to you, and there are signs that you can pick up on if you just practice listening with patience and open-mindedness. You can read these signs to find out when you're on the right path or maybe need to exit out of a wrong path. And these tend to be things that sometimes go beyond logic. The quote I continually love that's said throughout this book is, when you want something, all of the universe conspires to help you achieve it. It really is such a fun read. It's fiction with an overall moral message. The dialogue is simple and it's very story driven. If you're in a reading slump or looking for direction, if you're feeling lost in life, this will shift your perspective and give you courage to go after what you truly desire in life. Sometimes we just need a little bit of courage to listen to our heart. Now, next up we have The Science of Getting Rich. This is by Wallace D. Wattles. This book was written over 100 years ago and has made countless people rich in the last century. Now, this one I have in physical copy, but I also listened to the audiobook. I highly recommend the audiobook for this one. This is the one I find myself gravitating back to on multiple occasions. It's a book that you can learn something from every single time that you pick it up. In fact, he states this is the only book that you'll ever need to read in order to get rich. Now, that's a pretty bold statement, but even if you don't go to that extreme, Wattles talks about how getting rich is an exact science. And when you live and you act in a certain way, what you want can't help but come forward to you. A practical thing I learned from this book that changed my mindset is about getting clear on exactly what you want. You know, because a lot of us have abstract ideas of what it is that we want, like, I don't want to work anymore, or I want to become rich. But we never really get clear on an exact number or goal or time frame. Waddle says this is something we often overlook, and it's important to get clear on that goal and the strategy behind getting there. Before this book, I used to be super impatient with my goals, and a lot of us tend to do nothing outside of our 9 to 5 and just expect our goals to happen. But this book teaches you on how to get clear on that, live as if you already have it, and work efficiently every single day to give you the edge and eventually reach success. Next is a really low-key book. I've never heard anyone talk about it, but it was a recommendation from Reddit. It's called Milk the Pigeon, a field guide for anyone lost in their 20s, and this is from Alexander Hain. If you're like me, it's easy to feel lost in your 20s when you're at the age of transitioning into adulthood. Alexander wrote this book as a field guide that he wished he had when he transitioned out of college and into the real adult world. It's a short, really fun read that you will not regret. It's almost as if your older friend is giving you life advice. He gives it to you straight. Now this book is broken down into 3 parts. Part 1 is, what the hell should I do with my life? Part 2 is, how do I find work I love? And part 3 is, how do I create a life worth living? One way this book helped change my way of thinking is opening my mind to different possibilities as a way to achieve my end goal. He says people are just people, and going even the small extra mile and showing your sense of humanity can do wonders in life. For example, don't underestimate the power of a letter or an email. You could be one letter away from having a lunch date with your favorite author or actress or actor or athlete. Sometimes we just don't ask for things. Feeling lost with no direction is so common at our age, and hell, at any stage in your life. And it's so comforting having someone who has gone through it themselves to tell you about their life experience and provide tips for how to get out of this funk and get back on track. And if you want to know what Milk the Pigeon actually means, I guess you'll have to read to the end to find out. Next up is Tools of Titans by Tim Ferriss, also known for writing the 4-Hour Workweek. Now, I need to prepare you, this is a very hefty book. It is over 700 pages, but honestly, I refer to Tools of Titans as my personal Bible. Now you might be wondering why I'm recommending this, because it's not your typical book. It's not the type of book you read from cover to cover, but more so at your own pace. Now hear me out. You know how we've all heard the saying, you are the 5 people that you surround yourself with most? It makes you wonder, how can I surround myself with better, more successful people that have achieved extraordinary things? Well, if you can't find them in real life, this book is for you. So Tim Ferriss has had a podcast for a few years, right? Where he's interviewed some of the most successful people from all fields and interviewed them on how they achieved their success. He asked them real questions, like what steps they actually took, what habits do they have, what books do they recommend, and what life advice would they give to their younger selves. So what Tim did is he compiled all of this information from years of podcasting into this book. You have famous people like Wim Hef, who climbed Mount Everest in his shorts. You have Cascade, the EDM artist. You have people like Tony Robbins, the motivational speaker. There are 100 different experts in this book. So usually a book covers one topic, but this book covers everything that you may need to know in life. And it's broken down into 3 main parts: health, wealth, and wisdom. So say you're having issues with your health, right? You can reach over and look for advice from the world's leading athletes, physicians. Let's say you're having trouble with your business. You can head over to the wealth section and you could get advice from the world's leading investors, financial advisors, and billionaires. And lastly, if you need motivation or you're feeling stuck in life, that's my personal favorite section. You can head over to the wise section and get access to some of the most influential minds of the century. It is a fat book and one that I keep by my bedside. I still personally haven't even finished it yet. It's not really a book that you finish though. The way I like to read this book is to randomly flip into a chapter and just read whatever it lands on for a while. It never gets old. There will always be something in here for you. But yeah, Tools of Titans is more of a book to live by. Next up is 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think. And this book really did change the way that I think about life. It changed the way I think about work, my relationships, emotional intelligence, and my mental health. You know, Gandhi once said, your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny. So it all stems from our thoughts and our way of thinking. Once we can understand and direct our thoughts, then we can change everything. I will say this book is a little bit more on the theoretical rather than the practical, but it's like just having a really nice friend write letters to you and tell you that everything's okay. It's a collection of essays, so you don't even need to read it in order, and each chapter is so short. If you're not really a big reader, this one is definitely for you out of this list. They're small, digestible chapters that will make you think about some of the lines all day long. There are so many times that I had to put this book down and just take a big sigh because the words were so powerful. It's like a very good airplane read or like vacation read if you're going on one soon. This book has chapters such as why we should pursue purpose over passion, why and how to rid negative thinking, and 7 questions that will help you figure out what to do in life. It's almost reminding you of what you truly know in your heart, but just gets drowned out with all the messiness of the world. It's just so gentle and motivational, but that will get you started on your goals. Next up is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I think this book goes beyond effectiveness and productivity. I thought for so long that excellence was only for the elite or those that are insanely gifted and talented, but this book opens your mind to the idea that anyone can be successful with a little time and effort if you're willing to put in the work. I could go through all the 7 habits that I read, but it just hits different when you go through yourself and read through every single chapter to really understand them. But for example, for the first habit on productivity, you might think, okay, I know about productivity, I know how to be productive. But actual applications of these habits will transform your life. And I like that it lays out all of the habits in one go, and you can practice each one separately. And there's multiple examples of how you can apply them. I even like how the term habit is broken down. Habit is the intersection of knowledge, what to do, skill is how to do, and desire is want to do. As you all know, personal development is a long journey. Having a growth mindset and getting away from a fixed mindset will take you so far in life. Shake up your thinking with these books, and don't be afraid to get out of your comfort zone. Be confident and clear on what you want. Start making small changes. Let me know if you plan on reading any of these books and report back with your thoughts when you're done. Thanks y'all, and I'll see you in the next one.